Most people think of Nevada as casinos, neon lights, and endless nights in Las Vegas. But once you leave the highways packed with tourists and head deeper into the desert, the state starts to feel completely different. The landscape becomes emptier, quieter, and far stranger. Out there, you can find places that seem disconnected from normal reality. Towns shaped by Cold War experiments, UFO legends, homemade governments, and stories that sound too bizarre to be true. Nevada's backcountry has a way of making everything feel slightly unreal. One moment you are driving through miles of silent desert, and the next you are standing in what claims to be an independent nation, or near a restricted military zone surrounded by decades of conspiracy theories. These are not fantasy locations invented for movies. They are real places scattered across some of the loneliest roads in America. Near Dayton Valley Road, not far from the town of Dayton, sits one of Nevada's strangest attractions, the Republic of Molossia. Technically, it is only a tiny property in the desert, measuring about 1.3 hectares. But according to its founder, Kevin Baugh, it is an independent country. What makes Molossia fascinating is how seriously the idea is treated. The micronation has its own currency called the Valora, and its value is reportedly tied to the price of chocolate cookie dough. It also has passports, a national flag, a post office, and official customs rules. Certain imports are banned, including spinach, catfish, and incandescent light bulbs. Kevin Baugh serves as the nation's president and usually greets visitors wearing a decorated military-style uniform. Tours must be scheduled in advance, and guests are guided personally through the tiny country while learning about its laws, history, and mock international politics. Even though the outside world recognizes the land as part of Nevada, Molossia has maintained its self-declared independence since 1977. From playful weirdness, Nevada suddenly shifts into something far darker. About 65 miles north of Las Vegas lies Mercury, a closed town hidden inside the Nevada National Security Site. During the Cold War, Mercury became one of the main operational centers for America's nuclear testing program. This was not a small project. Hundreds of atmospheric and underground nuclear detonations were conducted in the surrounding desert, permanently changing the landscape. Mercury itself remains heavily restricted and is still connected to national nuclear research, which is why public access is tightly controlled. One of the most disturbing parts of Mercury's history involves the so-called Doom Towns. These were fake suburban neighborhoods built by the military, complete with furnished homes, cars, appliances, and mannequins dressed like ordinary American families. The purpose was simple and terrifying: to observe what a nuclear blast would do to a normal town. Today, Mercury feels frozen in another era. Some facilities are still active, but much of the surrounding area carries visible scars from decades of testing. Massive blast craters remain scattered across the desert floor, large enough to be visible from satellites. Farther north along State Route 375, better known as the Extraterrestrial Highway, you eventually reach Rachel, one of the most famous UFO towns in America. The population rarely reaches 50 permanent residents, yet the town has become internationally known because of its connection to Area 51. Rachel's social center is the Little Ailey Inn, a small motel, restaurant, and bar covered in alien decorations, UFO signs, and photographs from curious travelers. Inside, visitors swap stories about mysterious lights, military aircraft, and possible extraterrestrial encounters. What makes Rachel feel unusual is not just the alien theme, it is the atmosphere. The town sits in the middle of a vast desert where military secrecy and local folklore blend together almost perfectly. Residents are used to hearing fighter jets thunder overhead at night or spotting strange flashes moving across the sky. Some explanations are realistic. Experimental aircraft have long been tested in nearby restricted areas. But in Rachel, ordinary answers are rarely as interesting as the rumors. Out here, the line between classified military activity and science fiction feels surprisingly thin, and that uncertainty is exactly what keeps people coming back. After the UFO atmosphere of Rachel, Tonopah brings a completely different kind of discomfort. This old mining town is home to the famous Clown Motel, a place that feels almost designed to unsettle people. For anyone with coulrophobia or a fear of clowns, staying here might sound like a punishment. The lobby is filled with thousands of clown dolls, each with a different expression. Some smiling, some blank, and some staring a little too intensely. But the clowns are only half the story. The motel sits right next to the old Tonopah Cemetery, where miners killed in the 1911 mine fire are buried, along with victims connected to the so-called Tonopah Plague. That mix of clown-covered rooms and a cemetery full of tragic history gives Tonopah a strange psychological weight. It is not just creepy because of how it looks. It is creepy because everything around it feels slightly wrong. About 26 miles south of Tonopah, Goldfield feels like a town still standing after its best years disappeared. In the early 1900s, it was one of Nevada's richest gold boom towns. Today, it is quiet, weathered, and almost ghost-like. Its strangest landmark is the International Car Forest of the Last Church. Instead of trees, this forest is made of around 40 cars, trucks, and buses buried upright, stacked, or tilted into the desert. Covered in graffiti and bright artwork, the vehicles look like rusted monuments from another world. Goldfield also has the famous Goldfield Hotel, long surrounded by ghost stories. Some visitors claim to have heard unexplained sounds, including a baby crying inside empty rooms. Whether you believe the stories or not, Goldfield has the kind of atmosphere that makes silence feel suspicious. Rhyolite is one of Nevada's most dramatic ghost towns. Founded in 1904 during a gold rush, it grew fast, with a school, hospital, train station, and enough optimism to suggest it might last. But the boom collapsed quickly. By 1920, the town was nearly empty. Today, Rhyolite's stone ruins sit exposed in the desert, slowly being worn down by heat, wind, and time. One of its most unusual buildings is Tom Kelly's Bottle House, made from an estimated 30,000 to 50,000 glass bottles collected from the area. Nearby, the Goldwell Open Air Museum makes the scene even stranger. Its most famous artwork is a ghostly version of the Last Supper, with life-sized white fiberglass figures gathered around a table in the open desert. With the ruins behind it and the empty landscape stretching out in every direction, Rhyolite feels less like a town and more like a dream someone abandoned. Pioche looks quiet today, but its history is anything but peaceful. During the silver mining boom of the 1870s, this was considered one of the roughest towns in the American West. Violence was so common that local stories claim around 75 people were buried in the cemetery before anyone died of natural causes. That reputation still lingers over the town. One of Pioche's most infamous locations is Boot Hill Cemetery, where victims of gunfights and sudden violence were buried with little ceremony. Some gravestones still carry blunt explanations like "shot over a land dispute," giving visitors a direct glimpse into how dangerous life once was here. Above the town, parts of the old aerial tramway system still hang across the hillsides. These cables once carried silver ore from the mines, but now they sit silent, adding to Pioche's frozen-in-time atmosphere. Walking through the town feels like stepping into a version of the Wild West that never fully disappeared. Far out along Highway 50, the loneliest road in America, you eventually reach Austin, a tiny Nevada town with one of the strangest buildings in the state. Sitting above the community on a hillside is Stokes Castle, a tall, 3-story stone tower that looks completely out of place in the desert mountains. The castle was built in 1897 by wealthy railroad businessman Anson Phelps Stokes after he became inspired by medieval towers he had seen in Rome. But despite all the effort and money poured into it, the family reportedly lived there for only about a month before abandoning it. Today, the empty tower still overlooks Austin like a monument to unfinished ambition. The town itself has fewer than 200 residents, Yet its old churches, stone buildings, and mountain setting give it an atmosphere that feels more European than Western. Austin is quiet, isolated, and oddly elegant for such a remote Nevada town. Virginia City may be the most unusual place on this list because it feels both alive and haunted at the same time. After the discovery of the Comstock lode, it exploded into one of the richest mining cities in the American West. Today, much of that old history remains preserved, but the town has transformed into something part historical attraction, part paranormal legend. One of its strangest traditions is the international camel and ostrich races. What started as a bizarre 19th century newspaper joke somehow became a real annual event, with crowds gathering to watch camels and ostriches race through the old mining town. At the same time, Virginia City is famous for ghost stories. Buildings like the Washoe Club are often connected to reports of unexplained footsteps, moving objects, and other paranormal activity. Whether the stories are true or not, the town leans fully into its haunted reputation. Between the old saloons, wooden sidewalks, costumed workers, and ghost tours, Virginia City feels less like a normal town and more like a living performance of Nevada's strange history. At first glance, Berlin looks like another abandoned mining camp slowly fading into the Nevada desert. Weathered wooden buildings stand quietly under the sun, and the silence makes the entire place feel frozen in another century. But what makes Berlin truly strange is not the ghost town itself. It is what lies hidden beneath the ground nearby. Inside Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park are the fossil remains of enormous marine reptiles called ichthyosaurs, creatures that lived during the Triassic period when this part of Nevada was covered by an ancient sea. Some of these predators grew to nearly 15 meters long. The idea feels almost impossible. One of the driest places in America once belonged to giant ocean hunters. That contrast between a dusty mining town and prehistoric sea fossils gives Berlin an atmosphere that feels both historical and surreal at the same time. Beatty is the kind of town where traffic jams can be caused by donkeys instead of cars. Located near the entrance to Death Valley, the town is known for a group of wild burros that freely wander through streets, parking lots, and neighborhoods like longtime residents. These animals are descendants of pack donkeys once used during Nevada's mining era. When mining operations disappeared, many of the animals were abandoned. Over generations, they adapted to life in the desert and eventually became part of Beatty's identity itself. Visitors often see them standing beside gas stations, blocking roads, or casually walking up to vehicles hoping for snacks. The locals have grown protective of them, and the donkeys are treated less like wildlife and more like unofficial town mascots. In most places, animals stay outside the city. In Beatty, they became part of daily life. Boulder City feels strangely out of place in Nevada because it rejects the one thing the state is most famous for: gambling. While slot machines and casinos dominate much of Nevada, Boulder City remains one of the only places in the state where gambling is still completely illegal. The town was originally created in 1931 for workers building the Hoover Dam. Federal planners wanted the community to stay disciplined and controlled, so casinos and gambling were banned to keep workers focused on the massive construction project. Decades later, the restriction still exists. That decision completely shaped the town's personality. Instead of casino lights and non-stop tourism, Boulder City feels organized, quiet, and almost old-fashioned. The streets are clean, the atmosphere is calm, and many buildings still carry the geometric Art Deco style of the 1930s. For many travelers, the strangest thing about Boulder City is not what it has, but what it deliberately chose to avoid. Goodsprings sits less than an hour from Las Vegas, but it feels worlds away from the Strip. Instead of neon lights and crowds, you find dusty roads, old buildings, and a town that still seems to belong to the early 1900s. Its most famous landmark is the Pioneer Saloon, built in 1913 and considered the oldest bar in southern Nevada. Inside, the past feels unusually close. Bullet holes still mark the walls, reportedly from a deadly dispute involving a gambler accused of cheating more than a century ago. But the saloon is also tied to a much sadder story. In 1942, actress Carole Lombard died in a plane crash in the nearby mountains. Her husband, Clark Gable, waited at the Pioneer Saloon for news, hoping for survivors. The burn marks on the bar are said to have come from his cigars as he sat there grieving. Goodsprings is not just old, it feels emotionally haunted. Eureka may call itself the friendliest town on the loneliest road, but beneath its quiet surface is a hidden world most visitors never see. In the 1800s, Chinese immigrant workers built tunnels beneath the town, connecting buildings and creating protected routes through the settlement. These underground passages served several purposes. They offered shelter from brutal weather, but they also allowed workers to move around more safely during a time when discrimination was common. Today, most of the tunnels are sealed, though some sections can still be reached through basements of historic buildings and old shops. That secret layer changes the way Eureka feels. Above ground, it looks like a peaceful Nevada town. Below ground, it holds the memory of people who built hidden paths just to survive. Genoa is Nevada's oldest permanent settlement, founded in 1851, and at first it feels more charming than strange. The town has historic buildings, mountain views, and a quiet atmosphere that feels almost too polished for the desert. But Genoa has its eccentric side too. Every year it holds the Candy Dance, a festival that began as a fundraiser to pay for streetlights by selling homemade candy. What started as a practical community effort became one of the town's most beloved traditions. Then there is the Genoa Bar and Saloon, a historic watering hole visited by figures like Mark Twain and Theodore Roosevelt. For years, it was also known for hundreds of bras hanging from the ceiling, left behind by female visitors. The collection was eventually removed for safety reasons, but the legend stayed. In Genoa, refined history and rowdy bar culture somehow fit perfectly together.